So here we are again. England once more eliminated from a major tournament. It's heartache, isn't it? For me personally, it goes all the way back to Euro '96 and that painful defeat by the Germans, two penalties. And since then, to the present day, almost 30 years later, once again, we go out. It's a close game. We played well, but the result is the same. We have nothing to show for it. Talking about the game, I thought we did a good job overall. First half, I thought the French showed a bit too much guile for us. They looked sharper on the ball. They looked more clinical in terms of creating opportunities and obviously taking their opportunity, as they did with that brilliant Chukwuemeni goal. And in the second half, we were much better. I thought we were the better team. We were more fluid. Obviously, we had more possession. We created more opportunities. But it comes down to fine margins, doesn't it? And that penalty miss is obviously an extremely difficult one to take. And I think a lot of England fans could probably see it coming. The pressure on a penalty taker. That first penalty, okay, beautiful. Keeper goes the wrong way. Second time, what do? Do you go with the same side of the goal, or do you vary it? He decides to go the same side. He blazes it over. And we needed that, didn't we? The referee was terrible. We should have been given a lot more in terms of fouls. I thought Saka was really strong throughout in his play. He was very difficult to contain. Hernandez was struggling with him all night. It was causing Upamecano problems as well. And he was being fouled on numerous occasions in the game, and the referee didn't want to know about it a lot of the time. But having said that, we got two penalties, and we've got to take advantage of that. So I think refereeing decisions will be a minor reflection when it comes down to looking at why this game didn't go our way. Saka coming off. I'm hearing some people reporting that he was injured. If that is the case, of course, that's completely understandable. But otherwise, I thought that was a strange decision. Mount coming on, has he really been that effective? Would this not have been an opportunity to bring on Maddison? Something a bit different. He offers a threat. He can create something out of nothing. As a Nottingham Forest fan, I saw him score a beautiful goal against us earlier this season when we were playing Leicester. So this is something he's been doing, isn't it, throughout the season? This could have been the time to unleash Maddison, but that didn't happen. And that kind of brings me on to the point of this video, really. And what I want to add my input on is the reflection on Gareth Southgate. So I think we've got to look at what Southgate has done over the course of his tenure as England manager. He has a pretty damn good record when you look back at England managers going all the way back to Sir Alf Ramsey back in 1966, in terms of the number of games he's won at major tournaments, in terms of course, getting us qualified for those major tournaments. We've had a good run in each tournament we've been in. Funnily enough, this is actually our worst run in terms of how far we've got to. We all know World Cup 2018 semi-finals, the Euros last year we got to the finals, and of course this time we've gone out in the quarters. Now, some will say every time we come up against a decent team, we fall short. That's something that England has done, of course, ever since 1966, so there's nothing new there. But the question is, should Southgate stay or should he go? Or more to the point, should we stick with Gareth Southgate? I would say that the answer to that question should be yes for now, because who really is going to come and replace him? Now, I've heard people talking about Pochettino, possibly. I've got no idea if he's interested in the job. I've heard people talking about Thomas Tuchel. But let's be fair. Do we really at this stage want to replace an English manager who has got such a good relationship with his players, who does a very good job of relating to the media, of galvanising his team, of bringing his team together? Do we really want to replace him at this stage with a foreigner, to put it bluntly? A guy in Pochettino who was playing against us in the World Cup back in 2002. Again, in Argentina, obviously one of our biggest rivals. Do we really want him at the helm of England? Do we want Thomas Tuchel again, another guy who is a native of one of our arch rivals as England manager? I think that as a statement of national pride, and also because I think it helps to create a united and solid atmosphere within the dressing room. For those reasons, we should be looking to stick with an English manager. That would be my argument on this. So then we have to look at the possible replacements for Gareth Southgate. And who is there? At the moment, you can look at English managers who are managing in the Premier League. You've got Graham Potter. He's only just walked in at Chelsea. He's struggling a bit at Chelsea as well. Do you really want to take him at this stage, even if he'll be up for it, and put him in as England manager? Has he really done enough in his career to show that he is a clear improvement on Gareth Southgate? He's not won anything. And then you've got Eddie Howe, who's another obvious candidate, but you've got the same issue in the sense that he's at Newcastle United. Is he going to walk away from that and all of that Saudi money and the prestige that he could have as a manager of a club which is clearly on the rise to go in and walk in as England manager? And would this be the right time for him to do so? Again, he's unproven. He's not won anything. People talk about Southgate relegating Middlesbrough. That was the end of his club story, or at least it has been up to now. It wasn't so long ago that Howe relegated Bournemouth. So we have to be careful, I think, in terms of calling for the manager's head. I do believe that there are clearly better managers out there than Gareth Southgate in the game, but I don't believe that there are better managers out there that are realistic candidates for the England job. And that's where we have to take a step back and reflect and say, he may be imperfect, Gareth Southgate, and in fact, he certainly is, but he's probably the best realistically out there available when it comes to the England national team. So there's no point in the knee-jerk reactions. There's no point in the emotional tirade against the manager. He didn't do too much wrong in this tournament. I thought he navigated the tournament well up to France. I mentioned before I would have liked to have seen Maddison play. I think a lot of people felt that way. The decision to take off Saka, I'm unsure about. If he's injured, fair enough. But even then, do you bring on Sterling? Do you not bring on Rashford in that situation? He's only just come back. He's had, a long haul flight from the UK back to Qatar. That was a questionable decision. So I'm not saying Southgate got everything right, but what I am saying is that the players clearly play for him and they clearly feel a lot of affection for him. And he's done a decent job. I think a fair grade for Southgate in his tenure as England manager will be a solid 8 out of 10. And I can't see that immediate candidate who can step in to replace him who's definitely going to give us anything better than that. So those are my thoughts on it. I say that we should stick with him for now. Keep an eye on Potter. Keep an eye on Eddie Howe. Keep an eye on any other possible up-and-coming England's English managers, because I'm not saying that Southgate is going to be the answer indefinitely, but I think realistically he should take us into the next Euros, Euro 24, and at that point, hopefully, a clear alternative candidate will emerge who will have just as much managerial quality to match the quality that we clearly have in this English squad. That's what I'm hoping for, but we'll see. But yeah, horribly disappointing to see us go out once again. It was always going to be a 50-50 game against the French. We've come up short, and things could have gone differently for us, but they didn't. They didn't, and I don't think we're going to win Euro 2024. I think there is something missing, but my argument is, and that thing that is missing, I think, is in the managerial area of the team. But my argument is that I can't see that candidate who's going to replace that. And you can bring in, let's look at it. We've had Sven-Göran Eriksson, we've had the Fabio Capellos who have come in. And Sven did a decent job, but ultimately bottled it in 2006. And Capello never really got on with the players. You hear all the horror stories, don't you, from the likes of Joe Cole and Rio Ferdinand in terms of the fact that Capello wasn't really able to gel with the players, and that they didn't really trust his allegiances, to be fair. You know, he's England national team manager, but he's very clearly not English, and that matters when it comes to major tournament football, I think. But there we go. Anyway, those are my views on it. Um, Better luck next time. We always say that, don't we? 62 years of hurt now. It is 62 years and counting.